Hello students, welcome to 12th lecture of structure of atom. So as discussed in previous lecture, Bohr's model of hydrogen represents that electrons are actually revolving around the nucleus in different orbits. We can assume orbit as a region of a cloud of electron around the nucleus. As the principal quantum number of orbit increases, it represents we are actually moving further away from the nucleus. That means distance is increasing between nucleus and electrons around it. And as we increase the distance, and eventually when electron and nucleus both becomes free from the effect of each other, at that time energy of electron will be zero. Free electron is considered having energy equals to zero. So that means when we decrease the distance between nucleus and electron, we are actually neutralizing each other. Electrons are purely negative and nucleus are positive because of presence of protons. So positive charge and negative charge are unstable, and when they get neutralized they gain stability. So when electron and nucleus attracts each other, they are actually neutralizing each other, and because of neutralization their energy decreases, because neutralization gives stability. So if it gets stabilized, that means energy will decrease. If initially free electron is at zero energy level, that means electron inside the orbit should have negative energy. That's why energy of orbits were mentioned with negative signs. Now let's move to our next point, explanation of line spectrum of hydrogen. So as discussed earlier, we mentioned that electrons are present around the nucleus in specific allowed region, which we call orbits. So stationary states or orbits have fixed energy value, and electrons are able to jump from one energy level or orbit to another energy level or orbit, but they cannot be in between it. So if we want to visualize it, we can say that suppose this is our nucleus having positive charge, and this is first orbit. That means electrons stationary state where electrons can exist, and this will be our second stationary state. So first stationary state or orbit is represented with 1 principal quantum number, and second will be represented with second principal quantum number. Let us say if electron is present here, that means in first allowed orbit or stationary orbit or allowed state, and if electron wants to jump from these to this, that means from first to second state, it must absorb energy, and electron cannot be between these two allowed state. That means if we represent some region between these two states with dotted line, so electrons never be present here, they are not allowed to be there. Okay, they must have to be at the first principal quantum number or orbit, or at second, and so on. We can put multiple orbits like this, and as the electron move away from the nucleus, its energy will increase, and eventually when the distance of electron from the nucleus becomes infinite, or in other words, when electrons are totally free from the attraction of nucleus, at that time energy of electron will be considered as zero. And as the distance of electron and nucleus decreases, energy of electron decreases. That means it is already zero, and if it is decreasing, that means it will be negative. So if electron is present inside the orbit, it will have negative value of energy. Now line spectra observed for the hydrogen can be explained using Bohr's model, and according to second assumption, radiation is absorbed if electron moves from the orbit of smaller principal quantum number to the orbit of higher principal quantum number. That means if electron is present in first principal quantum number or first orbit in simple manner, then it will have comparatively less energy, and when it wants to move from low to high, that means let us say it wants to move in second orbit, it needs to absorb energy, otherwise it cannot be moved. And opposite is true for emitting the energy. If electrons emits the energy or electromagnetic radiation, they have to move from higher energy level or orbit or principal quantum number to lower principal quantum number. The energy gap between these two orbits can be given by the equation mentioned below. So simply E represents energy of given orbit, EF represents energy of final orbit, and EI represents energy of initial orbit. Let us say if electron is present in first orbit initially, then EI is equal to 1, that means energy of first orbit, and if it is jumping from 1 to 2, then EF will be 2. Similarly, if it is emitting the energy, then initial value will be more, that means if it is jumping from second orbit to first orbit, then EI will be 2 and EF will be 1, final will be 1, and difference will be represented with delta symbol. So difference of energy between two energy levels in which electron is being transferred, then it will be represented with delta E. Now this is our equation 2.16, and now let us put values of E from the equation 2.13. that means En is equal to minus RH into bracket 1 upon n square in this equation. So we will get delta E is equal to minus RH upon NF or final square minus RH upon Ni square. I represents initial, F represents final, that means before transferring orbit and after transferring orbit. So simplifying this equation, that means if we take RH as a common and we remove the negative sign, you will get this simplified version. Delta E is equal to RH into bracket 1 upon Ni square minus 1 upon Nf square. So Rydberg constant value is constant as mentioned earlier, 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 joules. So from this calculation, if we know the initial orbit and final orbit, by simply putting these numbers here, you can actually calculate the difference of energy, that means energy requirement for that movement, if electron is jumping from first orbit to second orbit, or if it is jumping from second orbit to first orbit, you will get value of energy requirement, and from the energy you can find the frequency of electromagnetic radiation required, which is mentioned here. So here our equation will be, as mentioned earlier, energy of the electromagnetic radiation having frequency V will be E is equal to V into H, that means frequency into Planck constant. Or if you want to find frequency from the given energy, our equation will be V is equal to E upon H. So same equation is used here. So delta E represents energy value, and frequency required for this energy value will be obtained by dividing energy with Planck constant. Now as mentioned in previous equation, delta E is equal to RH into bracket 1 upon Ni square minus 1 upon Nf square. Simply divide with H and you will get your frequency. Okay, so this will be the value of frequency. By simplifying the equation, value of Rydberg constant and value of Planck constant, they are constant, that's why we can put this value and we can calculate it. With the calculation you will get 3.29 into 10 raised to 15 into bracket 1 upon Ni square minus 1 upon Nf square. And to obtain wave numbers, now wave number is inverse of wavelength. That means, as mentioned earlier, velocity of light or electromagnetic radiation C is equal to frequency into lambda or wavelength. So wavelength will be c upon v. Now wave number v bar is actually inverse of lambda. So from this relation v is equal to v bar is equal to v upon c. That means frequency divided by speed of light, and as mentioned in previous equation, v is equal to rh upon h into 1 upon ni square minus 1 upon nf square, and we have to put value of c into it. Now already calculated value of rh upon h is already placed. That means we got this value in previous step, 3.29 into 10 raised to 15 divided by speed of light, 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters per second. So you will get 1.09677 into 10 raised to 7. So from this equation you can find wave number. Okay, so all of the equations are derived here. They are simple mathematics step. So we didn't discuss in detail. If you find any confusion regarding to these equations, then ask me, we will discuss it in detail. Okay, they are simply mathematical steps here. So now let us move. In case of adsorption spectrum, if n final is more than n initial, that means before transfer orbit is comparatively higher in number than after transfer, that means higher to lower transformation, and the term in the parenthesis is positive and energy is absorbed. Okay, on the other hand, in case of emission spectrum, n initial is greater than n final, and that's why delta E is negative and energy is released. Expression 2.70 is similar to that used by the Rydberg, we already discussed in point 2.9, equation 2.9, derived empirically using the experimental data available at that time. Okay, so it is practically derived equation. Further, each spatial line, whether in adsorption or emission spectrum, can be associated with the particular transition in hydrogen atom. That means, as we can see in this case, this is the emission spectra of hydrogen. That means when hydrogen gets excited, it will start losing the energy and you will get this type of line spectra. So each line indicates different type of transition. That means let us assume that this red light, actually red light has comparatively less amount of energy because wavelength of red light is more. If wavelength is more, that means energy will be less. So these type of lines represents movement or transition of electron in comparatively low energy regions. Now for instance, as we can see in this image, let us say for Paschen series, energy difference between two adjacent numbers, here number represents principal quantum number or number of orbit, is actually comparatively less. That means this difference of energy between n is equal to 6 and n is equal to 5 is comparatively nominal or minor, and as we are moving from higher number to lower numbers, energy difference starts increasing. That means here energy difference is comparatively more, and between 3 and 2 it is even more, and between 2 and 1, as we can see, energy difference is quite large. So these energy differences affects emitted electromagnetic radiation. Suppose let us concentrate on Balmer series only, because it emits light in visible range. So as we can see in this case, if energy difference is comparatively more, that means if electrons initial state is in n is equal to 6 and it is moving in n is equal to 2, so energy difference is comparatively big, so it will emit comparatively more powerful electromagnetic radiation, which is violet in this case. If difference decreases, that means as you can see, if initial state is 5 and final is 2, less intense or less energy containing radiation will be emitted, which is blue. Then if we decrease the energy difference even more, you will get green light. If we decrease it even further, you will get red light. Okay, so red lights almost represent transformation of electron from n is equal to 3 to n is equal to 2, and violet lights almost represent transformation from 6 to 2. Now let us go back to spectra, emission spectra. So from this emission spectra of hydrogen, we can say that as we observed, these red lines may represent transformation of electron from 3 to 2. That means initial quantum number is 3, principal quantum, and final is 2. So this green represents they are transferring from 4 to 2, and this blue region represents transformation of electron is from 5 to 2, or this end line represents 6 to 2. That means initially it was in 6 and after that it will come back to 2. Initially it was in 5th orbit and now it is in 2nd orbit by emitting these lights. Same for green light. If it emits a green light, it is shifting from 4 to 2, and so for red light. In short, these different type of lines represents different type of transition. That means shifting of electron from one orbit to other orbit. So we can say that it is multiple different type of possibilities present. So that means when we have large number of hydrogen atoms, different possible transition can be observed, and thus leading to large number of spectral line. You will get multiple different spectral lines depending on the transformation of electrons in hydrogen atom. The brightness or intensity of spectral line depends upon the number of photons of the same wavelength or frequency absorbed or emitted. That means brightness, let us say all the hydrogens are actually shifting from third principal quantum number to second principal quantum number. That means they will emit a red light. Suppose number of emitting electrons, light emitting electrons, let us say it is 10. That means 10 different photons of red light will be produced during this transformation. At that time, brightness will be comparatively low because of low number of photons. Let us say in second practical we are using 1000 hydrogen atoms and they are releasing 1000 photons of red light. So brightness of light will be comparatively more. So brightness actually depends on the number of photons emitted during this type of transformation. Now let us discuss numerical. What are the frequency and wavelength of photon emitted during the transition from n is equal to 5 state to n is equal to 2 state in hydrogen atom? So first thing, energy. So emitted energy, we are moving from higher number to lower number, so obviously it will emit the energy. So value of emitted energy can be obtained using this equation. Delta E is equal to 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18. That means Rydberg constant into bracket 1 upon Ni square minus N1 upon Nf square. That means initial state and final state. Initial state is 5. That means Ni is equal to 5. And finally it is moving in second orbit, so Nf will be 2. So from the calculation of this equation you will get energy is equal to minus 4.58 into 10 raised to minus 19. So it is emitting energy. Now for the frequency, as we already derived the equation, E is equal to V into H, so V is equal to E upon H. So delta E we already derived here, minus 4.58 into 10 raised to minus 19 divided by Planck constant. So frequency of the light or electromagnetic radiation for that this transition will be 6.91 into 10 raised to 14, and lambda for this it will be C upon V, which will be 434 nanometers. Next is calculate the energy associated with the first orbit of He plus, helium plus. So as mentioned earlier, He plus contains only one electron, so that means we can use same equation here as we used in hydrogen, but instead of 1 we will use atomic number of helium, which is 2. So instead of writing 1, we will write 2, or Z is equal to 2 in this equation. So what is the radius of this orbit? So first, energy En is equal to 2.18 into 10 raised to 18, already derived equation, into Z square, where Z is equal to 1 because this is helium. And if helium contains only one electron, it must be in first orbit, so N is equal to 1 as well. So when we put this value in this equation, energy is equal to minus 8.72 into 10 raised to minus 18. It is comparatively less than energy of electron of hydrogen. Why it is less? Because helium contains more number of proton, so it will attract electrons strongly. That's why it will get more neutralized, and that's why energy will be less. So radius, again same, Rn is equal to 0.0529 into n square upon Z, where n is equal to 1 and Z will be 2 because it is helium. So radius will be 0.02645 nanometers. It is comparatively shorter than hydrogen. Again same reason, because of more number of protons in helium core or nucleus of helium, it will attract electron strongly. For comparison purpose, let us say we have hydrogen which has only one proton at the core and it has one electron in orbit. In second case, we have helium which contains two protons and two neutrons. So it has two protons, so that means more positive charge. That's why if we have He plus, that means we have two protons and one electron only. So attraction of proton will be comparatively powerful here. So orbits will shrink because electron feels more stronger attraction towards the nucleus here. Okay, so size of first orbit of hydrogen will be larger than size of first orbit of helium, because in case of hydrogen, central attraction or nuclear attraction is weak. In case of helium, it is stronger. Now last point for this is limitation of Bohr's model. So Bohr's model of hydrogen atom was no doubt an improvement over Rutherford's nuclear model, and it can account the stability and line spectra of hydrogen atoms and hydrogen like ions, that means electronic containing atoms or ions. So however, Bohr's model was too simple to account for the following points. So first point is it fails to account for finer details doublet, that is too closely spaced lines of hydrogen atom spectrum observed by using sophisticated spectroscopic techniques. That means when we are using simple spectroscopy meter, you will get line spectra of hydrogen, let us say something like this. We have some lines like this, but certain lines seems comparatively thicker than other. Okay, like this. That means these three lines are comparatively thin, but this one line is comparatively thicker. And suppose we are carry out practical for other species like hydrogen, that means helium plus like, or lithium plus 2 like ions, then they will show comparatively different thickness containing lines like this. That means as you can see, certain lines are thin, certain lines are thicker, and some are even more thick. If we use some sophisticated or more powerful spectrometers, they will show us result like this. That means they will show us more zoomed result like this. Separate lines, first three that are represented here, then this thick line is actually two thin lines comparatively close to each other. Okay, in normal spectrometer they will appear as a single thick line, and even thicker lines will be three lines close to each other. It will look like thick line in normal spectroscopy meter, so or spectrometer. So these two lines are called doublets and these three lines are called triplets. So we cannot explain it using Bohr's model. Then this model is also unable to explain the spectrum of atoms other than the hydrogen. For example, helium atom, which possess only two electrons. Further, Bohr's theory was also unable to explain the splitting of spectral line in presence of magnetic field. That means suppose we have a doublet like this, which appears as a single thick line. In case of external magnetic or electrical field with the same spectrometer, this line will split. That means they will separate out, or distance between them will increase, and we do not need any powerful spectrometers. This is called Zeeman effect. If you are using magnetic field, then Zeeman effect, and if you are using electrical field, then Stark effect. And next, it could not explain the ability of atom to form molecules by chemical bonds. We know that elements or atoms forms molecule, but you cannot explain it using Bohr's model. In other words, taking into account the points mentioned above, one needs to better theory which can explain all of these aligned feature of complex molecular structures.